Lucian and Nami, when you do get to the later stage of the game, it doesn't feel the same compared to something like the Aphelios and Jinx, because Lucian, ever since the item changes, he doesn't do as much damage, but we'll have to wait and see. As TheShy, he's expanded his champion pool a lot, and we have the Scion for game 2.
Yeah, I mean, TheShy is definitely well versed on this particular champion. We'll see where Weibo want to try and take this, kind of next one. Honestly, Light just did exceptional work on the Aphelios. I really don't see why it would change that. Now JDG got to figure out where they kind of want to take this. Do you take the Nami here? You're pretty confident you do, and then maybe the Nico. Yeah, okay, so they've actually know exactly where they want to try and go with this one here, and it looks like they're happy to let Nico have that priority and let TheShy just kind of have whatever bans thrown at the top side.
Yeah, and we saw Yaga play the Nico earlier in this previous series, and he did amazing on it. Definitely having a little bit of fun as we see Knight locking it in for game 2. But I think Nico, when it does come to these major fights, you do need to play around that fight. You need to play around that flash so much to the point where I think Nico's a little bit useless without the flash. But to be fair, if you look at these two compositions so far, we have a bit of a short range DPS coming out of JDG in game 2 compared to something like the Aphelios. I'm sure that Xiaohu is just going to pick a control mage, even the Syndra for a second game in a row, but we'll have to see how they really execute, because at the very end, Nico is all about execution, like you said.
That's it. I'm excited to see what Knight's able to cook up as well with some of the positioning, shall we say. And curious to see now where Weibo kind of take these ones. I like that they're going towards the Ornn, maybe even the Malphite themselves, to be perfectly honest. Just kind of take those off the board, make sure that nobody can really kind of have that point and click, very easy engage. Wait to see where the last band's kind of go for. But there's the Syndra that you talked about. Not going to give that one over to Xiaohu. Man has been a demon on that pick over the last while and really, really wants to try and push himself back up towards international play. And there's the Malphite as well coming out for Weibo. So they're kind of just saying, look, we want to put you on a tank matchup that we can control, that we can deal with. Because the thing with the Cassante in that last one is that very good in a 1v1, not so great in a team fight in the grand scheme of things. Ornn, Malphite, Sion, they all have like a little bit of a bigger, kind of impact when it comes to those big 5v5s.
Yeah, and the next up-and-coming pick is going to be the Wukong that is going to be highly contested. It does seem like Weiwei is going to deny this away from Kanavi. I have a feeling Kanavi is going to pick Viego. Don't ask me why, but I feel like Kanavi is definitely out for revenge and he wants to teach Weiwei a lesson. And he wants to start killing some people in that jungle. But we have to talk about just the remaining 2 picks, because we had 369 still looking for something like the front line. Maybe, potentially, oh, I guess Cassante's gone. But it is going to be another tank for the top side, as they saved the counter pick for mid lane in Xiaohu.
Save the counter pick to make sure that he knows exactly what he's going into. And look, Xiaohu's played top, he's played mid, he's an exceptional player, and we'll know exactly where he wants to kind of go with this particular one. But what is going to be the final piece of the puzzle here for the side of JDG? Looks like they want to put Kanavi on something a little bit more, I suppose, secure, shall we say. Lil has a little bit more of a easier to execute, I think is the best way to put it. But no, immediately think, look, we don't really need a full tank. We've got the Nami. We can get ourselves some big skirmishes going for us. An immediate lock-in of the Ahri there from Weibo as he looked to try and just get this kind of game going. They're feeling the momentum right now.
Yeah, we saw this exact matchup being played earlier from the previous series, and Nico came out on top, but I think that is at the very end the Ahri from Cream being a little bit lackluster. So hopefully Xiaohu, with the amount of confidence from that game 1, I mean, there's so much mobility from the mid jungle of Weibo Gaming, so this Nico might struggle a little bit trying to lock people down, but at the very end you're still all eyes onto Light, because he's on something like the Aphelios, and this time around you don't have something that dispositions the enemy team like that Gragas.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have that full kind of disengage, like you said, and this is going to be a bit of a tougher time, I would imagine, in terms of execution for the side of Weibo. Like, yes, you got some decent kind of, engage and stuff like that, but you look at all the different tools that are available to kind of get away, to move back, to kind of reset a fight and come back at it from the side of JDG. It's going to be a lot higher on the execution side from both these teams to make any of their team fights going. But I will say for Weibo, they've built, again, a very simple kind of, front-to-back team fight. They want to try and push forward with this Sion, get on the back Wukong, and just have the Aphelios do Aphelios things.
Most definitely, and this time around, it is going to be crisp on the Lulu. I've always had a little bit of a debate in my heart where I think Mako is probably the best enchanter player we have in the LPL, and Crisp is a close second. So I'll have to wait and see if that bias does get broken as we venture further on into the summer split. But in this bottom lane, it is all about Rula for this game too, because this Lucian needs to get ahead, and Kanavi better be potting towards that bot lane.
I mean, you got yourself a Lucian Nami, you even have the Nico. It's a hell of a lot of power going into the JDG bot side. Let's see if they're able to try and make anything work from it. But you know, Weibo had an exceptional game one off of the back of Weiwei having a much stronger early game than Kanavi. I think, you know, there's no two ways about it. It is definitely going to be a much more kind of, you know, keeping an eye on the side of JDG to see what Kanavi can do. Can he make plays? Can he get around the map in a lot more kind of an efficient manner? And also, just straight up similar to what we saw most of the time, is that can you keep tabs of where the enemy jungler is? Because that 9 times out of 10 ends up being a much more powerful, much more important aspect of how this, you know, these games play out.
Yeah, and we see that Weiwei is going to be starting his Krugs, but why is the camera focusing on TheShy? Thank you, producers. We also love TheShy. As I'm just taking a look at all the summoner spells that have been taken for this game too. As I said, Kanavi has to play towards this Lucian and Nami because you're just going to get eventually outscaled as items come online, and this Aphelios range is just way too long for the Lucian to deal with. But Light has barriers, so it's going to be a little bit tough for them to even dive this champion if the trading doesn't go too well.
See what they want to do here. You still have to be very, very careful of Lucian Nami once they hit level 2. They've got plenty of burst available to them, especially with that first strike. So might see an early movement here from the bot lane of JDG to kind of get this one going, because they don't want to play the scaling game. They're obviously very happy with the way where the Lucian is in terms of the meta right now, and they do not want to give that one up. So need to make it work, though. That's the big thing. You need to make it happen for your team and get those advantages for yourselves, because otherwise the pick just kind of scales, fairly decently, as you mentioned, like the Aphelios. So you see already Crisp just kind of having to hold in pretty effectively as the smite coming down from Weiwei, as Kanavi looks to try and just be a bit more aggressive.
Kanavi is just constantly invading this bottom side, and luckily gets himself some wolves, as Nico does have that early push up against Ari when it does come to the wave clearing, and obviously Lucian and Nami also getting that push in very early on as well. But I think they're going to do a 1v1 for the wolf camp right at the bottom. No?
I mean, we could see I don't know if I was going to say Weiwei's backing Wigs. I don't believe he wins that 1v1. I don't believe that's something he comes out on top of. So like to see that he's feeling the exact same way as I am and just kind of backing himself away, as WBG having a much better time in this top lane. Having the Jax into the Scion means he's going to be able to kind of push in a lot more aggressively and create advantages like this, where he's, you know, making sure that he knows exactly where Weiwei is, knows exactly what camps are available. And Weiwei just kind of using this Viego to his fullest.
Yeah, we do have an engage and the heal popping from Weibo's bottom lane.
Ooh, Missing doesn't have a lot of mana. There's the Gravitum swapped over. Hell of a lot of damage. Missing taking a lot of punishment here. You still have the cleanse on Ruler. No barrier, no heal. As Light and Crisp actually come out the better of that trade, so they're going to be able to push in this wave. They are a little bit behind in CS, so it should be able to equal out that wave just a little bit.
Yeah, at the very end, we do have 2 summoners for 1 trade, so it's not too terrible for the side of JDG. They do need to stay for that bottom wave, but it looks like another 2v2 in top lane.
It's a flash, and now 369 has nowhere to go. He used his leap strike, he used everything. He's going to have it back just for a second. TheShy needs the flash, and he gets it. And that's going to be a beautiful kill on that top side. 369 is getting owned right now. Kanavi, will he go down? One more bonk from Weiwei would have been enough, but he doesn't want to deny, or doesn't want to give over his death to the jungler of JDG, and this is again topside going so well for Weibo.
An exact replica of what happened in the last game, but this time around Kanavi barely lived on 1 HP. I really thought Weiwei could have went for that, just an extra order, but 369, I mean, he had to burn the flash to get away from that stun, but he was also tanking the minion wave for a little bit that was built up by TheShy, and obviously this final flash Q, I think that flash was really unnecessary, but it's okay. You do you, King. And Kanavi barely gets out with 1 HP.
Oh, he had about 2 seconds left on the Q. That's what you can see there on the bottom left, so he did want to risk it. And honestly, it's those kind of tempered things where, you know, he goes a bit too blood hungry and gives over a kill, becomes a 1-for-1 rather than a 2-for or a 1-for-none, and those little differences can make a world of difference in the grand scheme of this kind of series. But weiwei just kind of back himself up, and again, great combination on the top side. We actually see him getting the smite down on that red buff previously, and that's how he was able to kind of keep in tow with the buff taking.
At least we see a huge turnaround for Kanavi in this game too. He is consistently pressuring the enemy jungler when it does come to these invades. But I think the overall takeaway from that top lane 2v2 is that 369 was still able to catch 2 waves that was built up by TheShy by TPing back. So it wasn't too bad. The kill went into TheShy's hands, so it is going to be a little bit tough when it comes to the laning phase, but eventually when you do get those items online, the Jack should naturally win the side lane push, as Weibo is looking more for those 5v5 team fights.
See, Knight just... Actually, not even just Knight. Every lane really having a CS advantage across the board for the side of JDG. And this is kind of what they built to do. They know that they have got the early skirmishing power with this Viego, but level 6 is being hit very, very soon across the board. This is where the game starts to get a little bit risky for both these sides. You would imagine with the AoE available to both of them, they're going to be looking to try and skirmish around these objectives, and neither Dragon nor Herald will have been taken, so we might see ourselves a big 5v5 very, very soon.
Yep, and Kanavi is desperately looking for that level 6, as weiwei is trying to look for something in this bottom lane. We do have the Gravitum available for light, so the bottom lane needs to play kind of carefully. But I think once we do have level 6s coming online, Weibo Gaming does seem like they have the slight advantage. Top lane 1v1, TheShy's getting a little bit low.
I mean, he's getting low, but 369 popped the ultimate, so I don't know if TheShy is going to be feeling too bad about that. So there's no real kind of, tanking to be done in that top lane for the Jacks anymore. So again, small little things I'm noticing. 369 definitely looking a little bit worse for wear in terms of the rust coming up against TheShy. And again, it's pretty even on the top side. If anything, it's actually TheShy who's ahead because he's got that kill.
For this game, I hope Kanavi has learned his lesson and he should stay away from top lane. Just let 369 be in an isolated matchup up against TheShy, because he will just go even. He will be slightly behind in the early game, but once items come online, he will go even, or even start putting some pressure on for the side of Weibo Gaming. But with Rift Herald online now, and we have the support of JDG rotating towards there, it does seem like it is going to be a 3v3, but I think Knight having the flash available is going to catch some people off guard if Weibo decides to take it.
And let's talk about this, obviously. We've got not a lot happening for the next while. We'd imagine the Dragon will be the next big point of focus, as Xiaohu needs to be careful. Yeah, he's probably going to have to lose his Spirit Rush over the wall because he thought that it was Kanavi. It was in fact Knight, but where do you expect to see kind of both these teams? Where do you want to see these teams kind of look for those advantages, look to be, pushing the letter just a little bit more?
I do want to see Kanavi leaning more towards this bottom side, because we have Ruler having that ultimate available now, not hitting the items just quite yet, but it is going to seem like this Lucian needs a bit of help from the jungler to get things going. But with Knight having consistent wave control in the mid lane, something's going to happen bot lane.
Bot lane looking to try and fight. Mid lane itself looking for something as well. Xiaohu gets knocked up, takes the full brunt of the damage, hasn't used his flash just yet, and will not have to as he keeps himself relatively safe. But with the pressure bot and the pressure mid, it means that Kanavi feels confident to go for this fight in the Dragon Pit. No bubble available there for missing now. It means that weiwei might feel like he can go for a little bit of a move, and it's exactly what he's going to go for. They're going to get themselves a lot of damage there, straight onto the Nami, and she is dead. They'll trade the Dragon for it, but Weibo still being proactive.
369, he's looking.
He's looking indeed. TheShy just needs to try and get ahead of him, and he will. And that's just going to be a move backwards there, but Kanavi might have to flash here as Crispy. Supportal combat, Lulu!
Oh my god!
Chris getting himself a kill, and that's definitely more worth it for Weibo now, because they're getting all these plates on bot as well. They might even go for another gank.
They're gonna go for it because... Oh my god. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Kanavi, calm down. I need to calm down. But I'm surprised that Kanavi didn't flash instantly when he saw the Lulu walking towards his face, as at the very end you still burnt your flash. And I guess JDG, they should have played a little bit more respectfully because you did know that Kanavi was finishing off the dragon, as you also saw the Wukong from an earlier 3v3 trade. But this dragon going towards the side of JDG and Kanavi barely getting out. Should just flash right now because Chris still has his cooldowns on from the E. And tragedy happened.
And there's the back-end staff of Weibo. Very happy with that trade, but Crisp definitely coming out the worst, the better of that particular one. I will say, Kanavi gets himself right back on that horse, knowing that he has top lane pressure, as TheShy did have to ult away, so he'll be able to pick up that Rift Herald, no contest whatsoever. But now bot lane, looks like weiwei is looking to go for another gank here. He doesn't have his Cyclone just yet, but does have Flash, so definitely looking a lot more confident, but that's a lot of damage to come out as well, as Xiaohu unfortunately swings a little bit wide with that, that charm, and he's actually 30 CS down. He is not having a good time.
Yeah, he also built the Merc Treads first, where we saw a 1v1 pursue in the mid lane, and I think Xiaohu barely lived that because of this Merc Treads. So we see a lot of pressure being kind of shown from Knight on this Nico. And he also does have the flash reveal. I'm just waiting for the moment that JDG decide to take a 5v5, and we'll have to wait and see how this Nico gets executed. Because so far, it does seem like Weibo is a lot better in the early game, and that's thanks to weiwei and being such a gank-heavy jungler.
Oh, weiwei, excuse me. Wei's a different player. But weiwei having still a decent time. This time, though, he's not getting the objectives. And I think that's the big key difference here between game number 1 and game number 2. Game number 1, he was getting the kills and getting the objectives, which means Kanavi was kind of left floundering around the rift, not really knowing where to go. This time around, though, it's a Dragon and a Rift Herald to JDG. The gold is fairly even. It's not really that big of a deal, so you can see now that there's just a more difficult time for Weibo to get as big of an advantage as they got in that last game.
And if you just take a look at the vision control being set up by Crisp here, he is definitely hoping for Xiaohu to get that midway pushed in and lean towards his bottom side. We don't have any flashes available for this Lucian and Nami just quite yet for the next 30 seconds or so, so you need Kanavi here ASAP before that happens.
I mean, TP just came in from 369 towards that top side, so if this is a full 5v5 gank in that bot lane, that could be detrimental to the side of JDG, but Weibo recognizing they don't have the wave and plenty of damage available to this Lucian to clear out those waves. So now weiwei thinking about making a move and will be able to spot out Kanavi. So Divine Sunderer versus Divine Sunderer. Let's see if they're able to kind of go for something, and it will be weiwei taking away that camp. So should be fine to just to walk away.
So thanks to the vision control that Chris was able to set up from a previous attempt, as JDG have no idea what is happening, as Xiaohu is also leaning towards this as well. Dragon spawning in 1 minute, and JDG not being able to walk in and get any vision from their side. They most likely have to give this, because look at the pick potential that Weibo can play off.
Oh, he does end up kind of backing himself away. Don't know exactly who's there, but you know that it is enough to make it a bit of a problem. No flash on missing. There is a flash on weiwei. We really wanted to try and hard force this, but it's definitely a difficult one to kind of make work.
The difference is going to be that TheShy does have TP available, so if Weibo decide to take this dragon and JDG challenge it, then it is going to be a 4v5. And if JDG isn't going to be able to kind of kill the fight, then 369 is going to be losing a lot when he's looking to trade for those towers.
I mean, they didn't get the plates off that Rift Herald play.
Yeah, it was like 6 seconds, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a bit too late. So that means that Rift Herald just kind of gets damage and not the gold, which is very, very unfortunate. 16 seconds till Dragon spawns. weiwei's already here. They will not have teleport from Xiaohu, but they will have it from TheShy. So this could just be straight up a better fight for the side of Weibo, as the JDG just kind of a little bit scrappy with how they've been able to set up their whole, you know, kind of midway push.
It does seem like that Weibo is going to be starting this one up for now. Xiaohu has the Zhonya's available, or at least stopwatch, so Knight has to be careful with who he uses his burst on.
It's a gale force though. Oh, that cyclone is fantastic to stop them from getting onto the backside, but you gotta watch out for Ruler. He's up on this Lucian and has plenty of damage. They will take out Knight. Kanavi is dead as well. The resets will come out here from Xiaohu if he can just get one more kill, and he will. Oh, the flash charm was way wide, but they want to kill off Ruler anyway. It's just Xiaohu versus Ruler. Will not be able to get more damage off the Orb of Deception, and the charm is still a ways away, but it is a 6-0 Weibo. They get the dragon, and they have control over this game. And what happened in top? 369 took a 1v1.
At least JDG got that solo kill in the top lane, but Light is having an amazing series on this Aphelios. The 2-0 now, and all it took was for JDG to challenge that second dragon, which I think wasn't necessary because of how your vision control was set up. If you take a look at the bot side map, that it is so hard to walk in as JDG, and especially the green and white weapons coming out of Light, he just uses spacing perfectly, and Ruler wasn't able to get onto the enemy carry. And I think Knight also used his flash onto Weiwei and all of his spells actually, and this jungler didn't die.
I mean, let's have a look at this. So Cyclone just stops Knight from doing anything immediately in the charm, and then yeah, look, Light kind of goes unpunished, untouched.
Yeah, he has 3 people looking at him, but unfortunately the range just isn't there. And this Aphelios, once he has those chakrams available, it is just such a tough fight to take. But we have to take another look at what happened in top lane. TheShy is very and he's really good dodge from 369 on that Q, and I guess he just kind of gets dove here as TheShy thought he could maybe outplay this. I'm not too sure what he was thinking here.
That was just bad from TheShy. Like, you have TP, you can just go back, you know you're not needed. Oh my god, missing! Almost dead, and almost certainly will be going down to one more Spirit Rush. And shouts that one up very, very gladly, and this is starting to get shaky for the side of JDG. They're falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, and Lucian Nami getting punished for not having that flash available. TP from 369.
They're looking for a charm, goes wide. Light gets knocked up and taken out. He will be assassinated, as will Weiwei. And now TheShy is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Will have to scurry himself right back to his team. But that is a good proactive play from 369 to set up his team and get them back into this game.
Yeah, with Xiaohu using his ultimate to pick up the support of JDG, and the TP coming out of 369, they found a wonderful angle to shut down Light, and of course Weiwei, which will result in a Rift Herald, and that is exactly what you want to look for. Getting your hands onto the carry as this Nico with the Proto Belt, but I don't know how many chances Light is going to be able to give to you because Crisp needs to go for that Mikhails as that second item. We'll have another look at what happened here. I think Missing just genuinely got caught. 3 orders from Light and he's already 1 HP. Really good sidestep from Xiaohu here and just finishes him off. But this TP from JDG caught the carries of Weibo Gaming off guard. I think they could have played it a little bit better to the point where Light didn't need to be this far up. They really wanted to get the tower, but it was 1 HP unfortunately, and he couldn't get out from Nico's ult range.
Yeah, they got greeted a little bit for it. They did get the tower mid anyway, so got their result, I suppose, and it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of JDG. So 3-7, it's about 1,000 gold lead now for Weibo as we have a Rift Herald available for Kanavi as well. So right now, this game is getting very, very tense, very tentative right now, and you can see that these 80 carries are doing a hell of a lot of damage.
I think patch 13.10, all the damage items are extremely overtuned. You have Yomus, you have Storm Razor. I personally think Imperial is also very strong as well. Flash from 369.
369, gotta get jumping onto TheShy. And the 1 and 2 Scion shall continue forward. But now Ruler, very isolated here, and there's 4 members available. They might just try and burst this one down, but it was Light who was the first one on the scene, so he's not really going to be your guaranteed front line, and the TP has to come out from Xiaohu to make sure they don't lose this tower bot lane.
Yeah, and luckily committing 3 people towards his bottom side, the Baron wasn't quite up for another 30 seconds, so this is just going to be a free pick onto TheShy. He does seem like he is making a lot of mistakes in this game too, and that potentially could become a huge problem. Oh?
It's a little bit of damage. They're going to try and burst out Light, but should just be fine, using that little bit of a minion wave to secure himself that tower in mid lane. Everybody just needs to calm themselves down. We're all getting a little bit too scrappy, and there's not even a dragon or anything to take for another 20 seconds.
Yep, both major objectives will be up and available very soon, so this next fight there's going to be a wipe, then it's going to be a Baron throw. But I think with 369 getting slowly online on this Jax, TheShy needs to look for 5v5s in these team fights now, and he needs to get his hands, or at least peel life from the engage from JDG if they want to look for a successful fight.
I mean, JDG reset very, very late, so not really in a great position to kind of contest this dragon right now. Top wave is pushing in favor of them, but that dragon is going over. That's Weibo now with their second Drake of the game. Knight is being a little bit of a nuisance to try and stop them from getting the inside track because they want to try and take this turret as quick as they possibly can. TheShy gets bubbled up and is tanky enough to kind of go for it. Charm goes wide from Xiaohu on the other side of this play. There's going to be an ultimate from TheShy to make sure he doesn't go down. Yeah, I think he just realized he didn't want to use, didn't have flash, he didn't want to die to that, but bot lane's going to get a TP from 369, and now JDG are starting to look like they're alive and kicking. They're looking to try and make some quick macro plays, and Weibo, they need to make sure they don't lose out on the rest of the map.
Yeah, 369 is now level 14 and pressuring this bottom side as it just kind of feels like Weibo Gaming lost their proactiveness from the early game and they're dropping the ball when it comes to this mid game. And look at the towers, they're now even, with 369 only going to get stronger with having that hull breaker as well, where you need 2 people to deal with this Jax, or even 3. I don't think Wukong and San has the damage to ever kill this Jax. And Xiaohu, he went Mertrex, he went Everfrost. There's just not enough damage from this trio where potentially you even need Light to deal with him unless 369 gets caught. And with Baron available, I mean, 369 is just going to sit comfortably in bottom lane. And if JDG wants to kind of dance with the Baron, then Weibo Gaming, they're going to start feeling the pressure.
This is much better as well from JDG comparatively to game number 1. It just feels like they're definitely waking up a little bit more. Hull breaker now finished up for 369, means that he's going to be an even bigger threat on the sideline. We saw how quickly he took down that turret. See what Weibo can do now as they look to try and kind of stabilize themselves. The gold fairly even, only about 2,000 or so in favor of JDG. Dragons 2-1 in favor of Weibo. It's all about how you're able to kind of leverage yourself around this map.
Weiwei's presence around the map has died down as we approach into the later game, but all it takes is one good choke for either Weiwei to pop off or for Knight to pop off, and he does have the flash available now, sitting on that Shadow Flame as well. He can potentially look for a one-shot onto Light, but with that barrier available and Mikhail's not online just quite yet, Light has to be a little bit careful. We haven't seen any sneaky transformations out of this Nico just quite yet, but that potentially could be the difference in this game.
Well, there's one as you say it. Just drop down to a minion just there in the mid lane, but Gravitum and Infernum Guns here for Light makes it a bit more difficult to kind of walk up and be aggressive. If you can guess that, a little bit of CC down, you could be CC down, single target CC down for a hell of a long time as we wait to see now. TheShy will not be getting a mythic anytime soon. Has himself a Bramble Vest alongside that Sunfire and the Kindle Gem. Kindle Gem, you'd imagine, will build up to it instead, but still a ways from getting that item really online, unless he's about to go back now and finish it off, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, just picks up an Aegis. We kind of go back to a little bit of a stagnant game. Both teams waiting to see where they can make an advantage or if someone makes a mistake.
Yeah, you see TheShy positioning to look for something on this mid wave, but JDG having every single summoner available, it is going to be a little bit tough unless they have a really good follow-up, which I think you need the Ahri to be around. But Xiaohu is now on matching Jax duty in the side lane, as TheShy, everyone's noticed that this sound can no longer match the Jax at level 15 now, also going for that Zhonya's. So 369 going for the Zhonya's potentially means he can go for those 5v5s, but I would much rather prefer him to just consistently pressure the side because Weibo Gaming don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't really have a full answer for the Jax. They're kind of hoping that someone maybe oversteps into a different lane they can capitalize on. But then, leave the Jax alone for a few minutes and he will just take your entire base. 1 minute till the dragon spawns. That would put Weibo onto Soul Point. As we can see now with 2 items completed for both AD carries, they will destroy either Missing or Crisp. You cannot let that happen now on the side of your team. I feel like if you lose your support early before a Dragon or a Baron fight, you're going to have such a difficult time just trying to gain more vision control. But we'll see what they're able to kind of muster up with. I wouldn't even Weibo let this one go, to be honest. I think that they're in a position that they can just kind of let that one happen and let Light just keep farming up.
Yeah, most definitely, as we are approaching 3 items territory for both of these AD carries. But my biggest problem is still going to be about how Weibo kind of deals with these side lanes, because you do see that 369 is extremely over pushed on these sides, and they need to look for a pick to kind of even out the vision control that they have on the map right now. Because if you go for this dragon, the Baron is up and available, and JDG can look to shred it with this Viego.
Can indeed. You gotta be careful though. That Infernum does a hell of a lot of damage. Dragon has spawned. 369 pushing in that bot lane. As they look to try and maybe go for something a little bit more aggressive. A little random stat from my stat team, aka Lyric. He just pinged me there saying that historically, Weiwei is 6-4 ahead on 6 wins, 4 losses on Kanavi. Now 7 wins and 4 losses. So this is
counter.
A natural counter. This could have been the perfect time for Weiwei to debut here for Weibo Gaming. Might just have Kanavi's number and how things go, but this game is not over just yet. Looks like the side of Weibo happy to let this one slide. Don't want to be giving themselves too much of a job to do to get into this river. They need to cover off this side lane. I would like for them to maybe go for this. Yeah, they can. And you can see JDG immediately recognize they need to get back out to this Baron.
It's not as fast. He is now green and white weapons, but Kanavi's here.
Kanavi is here. Missing a Knight there. Weiwei flashed and immediately trying to go back in on top of Knight, who has to use a Pop Blossom there to try and keep himself alive. He's getting taken so low. One more bomb. He will not get him because he went onto the clone, but look what's happening. 369 is ending the game. So yes, you end up getting everybody away from the dragon, but you haven't been able to get the objective.
And they perfectly defuse this Baron, and 369 looking at the inhib now. Xiaohu can't deal with this Jax. Well, at least he opens up the bot lane for this inhibitor to take, but really good disengage from Knight. He barely lived on 1 HP. I believe that Kanavi was getting held up by TheShy in the mid lane, so ended up not... Oh, another pick onto Knight.
They're going to try and go for him. They need to try and kill him off. That's the topic of today. Can you kill the Nico? The answer is yes. When themselves a kill, they don't leave empty-handed, and they've now got themselves 40 seconds with no mid laner from the side of JDG.
Really good pick into Weibo's hand, and a bit of reassurance as the game became way too slow for the side of WBG. But now with Knight going down from flashing over the wall, avoiding that death, it is going to get punished. I really like our Aphelios players so far in the summer split. It does feel like that they are playing with a lot of confidence, specifically from Light and Gala. I guess when you do have a little Lulu, you just always go forward, and if you're not guild forcing forward, you're playing the champion wrong.
And yes, you did lose your inhibitor turret on Weibo. That, sucks, but you didn't lose the dragon, which means that you kind of able to pick this one up here. That's the whole point. You haven't lost an inhibitor as of yet. I mean, it's not a bad trade. It's a little bit of a skewy one, but it's definitely not the worst one in the world. And the kill went over to the Aphelios as well, so Light feeling much, much better about this whole situation, you would imagine. Lord Dominic's regard gets finished up here for Ruler, who's had a quieter game than most would anticipate, but 3 items each for the AD carries. You can definitely start to see this Aphelios start to become a bit of a problem now as we start to get later and later into this game.
Yeah, without that flash available for this Nico, I don't know how JDG is going to get their hands onto Weibo. 369 can look for a potential flank onto the carries of this Aphelios and Ahri, but I think he is much better just consistently pressuring the side. I don't think JDG have the damage to instantly rush the Baron, however, so they have to play extremely slow. Just dancing around it is just fine, but Weibo Gaming, they don't have a ward on this Baron just quite yet.
Not quite yet. They need to cover off this side lanes first. You can see Ruler moving forward and getting a hell of a lot of damage onto Light and Chris before anything else can really happen. Decent cover up after the back end of it, but that top or mid lane turret shall be taken down. Now 369 feels a bit more emboldened to move forward, get a bit more pressure onto this inhibitor. It's the furthest one away from the Baron, which makes it the hardest thing to defend when you're trying to stop that big purple worm from going over.
And I don't think Weibo is ever going to pull the trigger to go onto 369 in the side lane. Now level 17 to TheShy's level 15. And he is going to back and have that Zhonya's up very soon. So I'm not too sure what Weibo's angle is for this current game state because the Baron is up and available. The Dragon isn't going to be considered just quite yet. 369 does have a really nice TP ward on the left.
He does, but can he get to it? That's the question, because he will have the Scion there. Half HP now onto the Baron, as we can see now. 369 going for it. Baron's gone. That's confirmed. That's taken now by the side of Weibo as they look to try and maybe take the fight afterwards. There's the Pop Blossom to try and keep Knight alive. He will have to fall down just after it, though. 369 will get himself an inhibitor, but he loses the Baron and his flash. And now he's running for his life, and this is where all the standing gold. You only had 2 turrets taken by Weibo. They can keep pushing forward. They can keep looking to get some more gold in their back pockets.
Uh-oh, and that's the play that Weibo needed. As JDG, they lost control or vision onto this Baron with the double pink wall getting placed down, and they didn't expect that Light had the white and green, so they just instantly rushed it. You didn't even see a TP coming out of the JDG. You couldn't really TP as 369 as TheShy just held on to this matchup extremely well, so it occupied him. And I just don't think JDG had the damage to deal with this Aphelios anymore at this 30-minute mark because the range is there. You see that Knight is struggling to get any DPS onto this Aphelios as he's sitting at the very back, and this really nice polymorph coming out of Crisp also denies the Baron from Kanavi. And I think this Viego is once again, we see today, struggling to do anything in these T-fights. I look for those resets.
The thing is, if Viego doesn't get the resets, he doesn't really have the power to affect these fights in such an explosive manner. Now you're dealing with Baron, which will be available right up until the Dragon spawns, which means bot lane is not a problem. You picked up a couple of more towers, so you're now up to 4. You've got yourself a decent amount of gold now onto your AD carry alongside that GA. So honestly, and you didn't even use any flashes in that last engage. That's the key thing for me here. Missing doesn't have a flash. 369 doesn't have a flash. These are big summoners that won't be available now for JDG as they look to try and keep themselves alive. They're not playing badly. It's just Weibo's playing better.
Exactly, and now with the Dragon spawning in 1 minute, Ocean Soul as well, we don't have any heal cut just quite yet for the side of JDG, so they're going to really struggle with bursting anyone. We really see this Nico not doing enough damage for Kanavi to play off those resets, but 369, I mean, he is desperately trying to get something done when you're facing up against
the damage! Ruler almost gets 100 to 0. He flashes immediately. Weiwei trying to jump now onto the Nami, but he may have gone a little bit too far. Jack's forced to TP to defend the mid lane. Well, that's all been happening. Sion takes bot lane tier 2, but they defend their base for the moment. Now, with Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, you don't have Weiwei. This is actually beneficial for the side of JDG.
And Weiwei slips and drops the ball, making that mistake over-committing into the enemy base. He did burn flash from Ruler though, so that could be an angle for Xiaohu.
Light's coming in. Kanavi's a little bit separated. He flashes away, but now Light has to flash himself. He's got so much damage on top of him. Can they keep him alive? Yes, they can. The wild growth is huge. Kanavi goes golden. Light tries to find him, and Knight does. Crisp now next on the chopping block as the GA does get popped. He needs to get Knight coming back from the dead, and he does just that. That is huge from the Weibo AD carry, and they're not done just yet. Kanavi will be the next one to fall, and Weibo found themselves an opportunity even though they were 5v4.
That was a 4v5 like you said, Oisin, but Knight landing a 3-man ultimate doesn't mean anything. With that G available in Light as well for the item slots, it does seem like Weibo Gaming gonna take this series away with a clean 2-0 to start off summer.
I mean, great moves here from the side of Weibo Gaming. It looked like JDG may bring this one back from the brink, but it was close, but not close enough. And great macro calls coming out from the side of Weibo Gaming. Give them a 2-0 over the MSI 2020.